Okay, good morning, everybody. It's a real pleasure to be here. This is my second year in a row of being able to come and speak at the LA Auto Show and speak specifically about autonomous driving. And our view is that there's a lot of people talking about autonomous driving. We're actually one of the companies out going to build autonomous driving. You saw us announce earlier this year our acquisition of Mobileye. You also saw us at that same time announce that we'd be building a 100-car fleet. I can tell you that fleet is under construction now and will be rolling out onto the roads at the beginning of next year. But let's talk about what we're going to talk about today. When I was here a year ago, I talked about the importance of data in the car of the future. And really, we coined a phrase that said data is really the next oil from a culture and societal and just how it's going to change the world. The data is changing everything around us, and I think a year later it's really truer than ever. As you look around every industry, it's being changed by data. And I continue to say that the autonomous car is going to be really one of the biggest data collectors and data generators that really comes out of the next decade or so. And so it's really important to understand that and to really think about that. And what we're going to talk about today is not just the importance of data. I think that was last year. What we're going to talk about today is really what's next and what's the critical issues that the entire industry needs to focus on in order to take these cars to the next level. And so that's what we're going to really spend our time on today. So, there we go. So, where do we stand with autonomous driving? And the first thing I want you to see, and hopefully you're going to see it throughout this show, is that it's absolutely real, it's coming. Most people are talking about, really levels of autonomy that I'd call hands-free for large periods of time around the turn of the decade, 2020, 2021. I look at my teenage daughters and I say, I know for sure by the time they're old enough and they have kids and their kids are learning how to drive, they will never drive a car the way you and I do. It's just not going to be as safe for them to drive. And that's where we're going to kind of focus today, is that what's going to happen as that happens, right? What transitions occur, and what does that mean for an industry in transition? So let's talk about really how will this play out? How will the autonomous driving kind of industry and technology play out? Our view is that the world of autonomous driving is attracting really some of the best and brightest minds in the world. And whether it's a technology company like Intel, and there are many others, OEMs, parts suppliers, all of them are investing time, money, resources to bring this technology to fruition. And the truth is, no one company is going to do this singularly. It truly takes a team of companies, a team of partnerships to bring an autonomous vehicle, let alone an autonomous industry, to market. And our strategy at Intel is to play in every part of the development and the final product of this autonomous world. And we're working on delivering flexible, scalable architectures to support everything from the bumper to the cloud. And we really think about it like that. It needs to be much broader. You can't think about just the car. You have to think about the infrastructure required, how cities will change. Think about what happens if you could eliminate, say, half the parking in a city. How would you think about city design and city architectures? All of those things need to be really thought about as we bring this technology and really change the landscape of the communities we are in. So for years, Intel has been working with companies like Waymo. We announced earlier this year a deep partnership with Waymo in bringing the technology with Intel Silicon and Waymo's real leadership in this technology of autonomous driving. We also announced, as I said earlier, the acquisition of Mobileye. And with Mobileye, it brought another set of partnerships. And you see them with Delphi, with BMW. But as we go through the remainder of this year, you're going to hear many, many more partnerships with Intel, Mobileye, and car OEMs, targeting level 4 and 5 autonomous driving. So while we've been doing this, we've also been investing in what we believe are some of the most exciting and promising technologies that will be part of this autonomous driving world. Last year, I announced here on stage that we would put together a $250 million Intel Capital Fund targeted at investing in autonomous driving technologies. And I'm really happy to say that we've actually invested more than that $250 million in just 1 year. And those investments went into companies like Here, into Peloton, into AI, and a few others as well. But the biggest investment we made, as I said, was a large investment in the acquisition of Mobileye. In fact, a $15.7 billion investment in the acquisition of Mobileye. And I want to spend a little bit of time about why did we make that acquisition and what does it really mean for Intel. Now, Mobileye is the world's leader, we believe, in advanced driving assistance, systems commonly known today as ADAS. And those are systems that are out there today. And those are everything from parking assistance and self-parking systems to, pedestrian alerts and, your intelligent cruise control type of devices. And those systems are based on some combination of radar and camera and all. And during the 8 years of development that Mobileye's had in this technology, they've started to build algorithms that are the precursors to this autonomous driving. And when you think about the same algorithms that are helping you in your cruise control and your adaptive cruise control and your self-parking and parking alerts, all of that is the precursors to what we're really looking for is that autonomous driving. And Mobileye really has leadership in these technologies. Now, in addition to that, Mobileye has developed the best low-cost solutions. Excuse me. It's that cold. And we began collaborating with Mobileye several years ago, really understanding their technology leadership from both an algorithm and a silicon point of view. Now, what's unique about them is they use a crowdsourcing technology that has input from all of the cars that allows them to also build up maps that will be used for autonomous cars. So as you're driving along and you see construction or you see an accident and you see how to navigate around that, Mobileye's built the technology that will allow those maps to be real-time updated and fed up into a system and redistributed out to all the various cars that are coming behind those first cars that pass those events. And that was another important part of the acquisition of Mobileye. So what I'd like to do is take a quick second and show you what it looks like when we put all of this into action on the road itself. So if we could play the video. Okay. What you see here is what the car and the set of sensors that are in the car actually sees. And what you see is it sees the cars, also it sees the pedestrian there on the right, it sees the stop sign on the right as well. It sees the traffic light up on top. So you're not only gathering data, and this is where the large amounts of data come from when we talk about autonomous cars, is that you're not only capturing data about the cars and the vehicles around you, But in order to really have redundancy in location and all, we're capturing data on street signs, street lights, and a variety of other points of interest that allow us to navigate and drive safely. Today, there are more than 20 million cars on the road with at least one Mobileye camera actively supporting ADAS and starting to collect this kind of data. And we think this is just the beginning. Now, with the combination of Mobileye eyes and Intel's brains, we have the leading solutions to meet the industry's needs. And I want to talk to you a little bit about that. What makes us believe that Mobileye is the leading product? It's one thing to talk about enabling the car of the future. It's another to actually deliver that highest capability. And where you might say the rubber kind of hits the road is with deep learning. You have to take all that data we just showed you, the pedestrians, the cars, the streetlights, and you have to turn that into, first, an understanding of the world. What are those things? You have to have a high confidence of that. And then you have to turn that into, how do I navigate? How do I get from point A to point B? And all of that is done through algorithms and deep learning. Now, with deep learning, what's important is performance. We need deep learning capability to not only see what's on the road, but to do that in an efficient manner. Now, most of the cars, we believe, that will be driving the first autonomous cars, and really the cars that will be the majority of autonomous cars as we go out in the future, are going to be electric. So things like efficiency, power efficiency, are important, because it truly takes away mileage. So you want high compute power with an efficiency of performance, and that's what's important. So I'm going to share some data with you this morning that we're making public for the first time here at the Auto Show on how our products compare to the competition. So what I've talked to you about is that there's a lot of data coming into the car. You've got to produce these algorithms that allow the car to first interpret the world and then second, navigate the world. And you're likely in an electric car, so you need efficiency. You need a number of operations per watt, right? What you want to do is be able to calculate and understand and make these decisions in the highest performance you can. So in the chart behind me is a comparison of deep learning performance efficiency. And so the way the technologists measure that is deep learning teraops per watt. Okay, so that's tera operations per watt. And what we've compared is the Mobileye IQ5 against our competition, the Xavier, public data. So all of this data is public data. And what you see is about a 2.5 times performance per watt with the Mobileye solution as compared to the competition. And this is important. Remember, we need this to fit underneath the driver's seat. If you look at the autonomous cars of today, most of the computing probably fills up most of the trunk of a car. We, as technologists, have to get that from that trunk down to underneath the driver's seat. So it has to operate efficiently, small. It's got to be easily cooled. And as I said, it's an electric car likely, so it has to be energy efficient. So we believe that this is one of the most important measurements you can use to compare how these systems will scale into production vehicles. IQ5 is the beginning. You see the performance against the competition. We have plans for a continuation of family of the IQ chips. They'll continue to use Intel silicon and IQ technology to drive this performance to even higher standards. But it isn't just about the experience or the technology under the hood. We said we were going to talk about how autonomous driving is really changing the society, the culture, the communities we live in, and the experiences we have. So we're going to switch now from performance, which we just kind of talked about, into the passenger experience. Because we believe that this is one of the most important things. Why is somebody going to want an autonomous car? It's that experience. Having a technology like this, it might be a nice status symbol, but it's when it changes your experience that it really becomes something that you value. One of the companies that we've been exploring this technology with, that customer experience, you saw us discuss earlier this year what we believe is a $7 trillion passenger economy opportunity. One of the companies that have been partnering with us to look at this and understand what that value is Warner Brothers. And this morning I'm excited to bring on stage with me here the Chief Digital Officer and Executive Vice President of Strategy and Business Development at Warner Brothers, Thomas Gajewski. Thomas. Hey, Thomas. It's great to see you here at the LA Auto Show. Maybe you could talk to us a little bit about why Warner Brothers is so excited about autonomous driving in the car platform.
Sure. Thanks for having me. We're really excited about autonomous cars and the potential they have to deliver an immersive platform that in the future could allow us to bring a whole new kind of entertainment experience to consumers. If you think about your commute today, it's probably a lot like this. It's slow, it's boring. Just imagine if through the power and the magic of AR and VR, we could transform that experience into something that feels a little bit more like this, like driving the Batmobile or even flying through the air. I think that would be a lot more fun.
It'd be great for me. I'd love to fly through the air with my car.
Fantastic. Look, when you think about it, you think about the sheer volume of cars on the road in the world today and the amount of time we all spend driving. We think the emergence of autonomous vehicles represents one of the biggest potential expansions of time available for entertainment that we've seen for a very long while.
So, okay, you've talked to us about it's a great platform for entertainment. What do you see, and how can it become personalized? You just talked about the Batmobile and flying cars. How do we personalize this, and how personalized can it be?
Well, we've really been thinking about sort of the whole opportunity in three categories. First, you just have the fact that consumers are going to have a lot more time to watch movies, television shows, to play games, to have VR experiences in the car. And really, everybody in the car can stream directly to their own personal device, or it could be a shared experience watching on a larger screen. Virtual reality experiences could be synchronized to the vehicle's speed, to the weather outside, to the location. And we think that's a really transformative opportunity. And you think about what's coming from a data standpoint, in the future, 5G connectivity will deliver much faster data speeds, which could enable a whole additional range of experiences.
Yeah.
And I think if you imagine a world where the road is full of autonomous vehicles, and so you don't have this issue of driver distraction, it's even possible, we think, that you could have video on the outside of the car, and that could create a whole new category of vehicle-based advertising.
That'd be great. So that'd be game changing. I can be a driving Intel advertisement as I go around the streets.
Exactly, or even Justice League. The second thing we've been thinking about is that if you imagine that you're in an immersive, contained environment, that allows us to really create next generation fan experiences. We can program the entire interior of their car. You want to ride in the Batmobile? I think AV cars can be driven by the consumer's favorite character. Announcements can be made in a character's voice. The lights, the music, the video in the car could all be customized to match whatever your favorite character or brand or theme is. And that could change based on the passenger's identity, their mood, their interest, the time of day. Almost anything is possible.
So I truly did see Justice League this weekend. It was a great movie, but my favorite movie is the Lego movie. I'd love to have my car in the Lego movie theme because everything would be awesome.
That would be fantastic. I love that movie too. Finally, and I think this is really exciting, you can imagine that the windows of the car could really act as a lens to the outside world using augmented reality as a next-gen technology. And that would enable not only new advertising and discovery experiences, but all sorts of new entertainment possibilities. And if we can understand where you are from a location standpoint and bring a lot of sophistication to that, we can really tailor your view of the outside world to what you like. If you're tired of commuting through LA, what if you go through Gotham City instead? The car windows can make that possible, really transform your driving experience. And if your mood changes, you can try Hogwarts. And kind of mix some fantasy into the real world or replace it entirely.
So, as you talked about, Thomas, this truly, you could be driving through one city and then get to some place and open the doors and be in a completely different city that's more your reality. I think you're right, 5G is going to be key. It's going to bring that streaming entertainment, the ability for ultra low latency and massively increased data speeds. We've been delivering with our latest processors and platforms 4G and now 5G technology. Our advancements in LTE modems has been demonstrated. We've also got the industry's first 5G ready platform for autonomous driving. All of this will enable an era of in-vehicle experiences, but we really want to push this forward even further. So Thomas and I are here today to announce that we're building a partnership with Warner Brothers to bring these type of passenger experiences to life in the car of the cabin of the future.
That's right, Brian. We couldn't be happier than to partner with you to make these experiences real.
So with Warner Brothers' help, remember I talked about that 100-car fleet that we're building out. We're going to take one of those cars and actually build this customer experience, this entertainment space into one of those vehicles.
We're going to call it the Autonomous Vehicle Entertainment Experience, and we're really excited to bring together the entertainment and the automotive tech worlds to showcase what the future could look like.
So I personally really look forward to my very first ride in this entertainment vehicle. I'm really happy to be partnering with Warner Brothers, a fan of the company for years and the products you guys make. I want to thank you for your partnership and for joining us here on stage at the Auto Show.
Thank you very much, Brian.
So we talked about autonomous cars are real, they're coming. And we talked last year about data and the importance of data. This year we wanted to talk about the experiences a little bit. And so we talked about performance, and the importance of performance of the silicon and how we believe we're leading in that performance. And now we've talked about the customer experience, how autonomous driving really will allow us to have a completely different set of customer experiences, and a partnership with Warner Brothers that really lets us start to demonstrate that. You really have to open up your mind as to what those opportunities are. And that's when we talk about that $7 trillion passenger economy. To make it a reality, though, we have to do one other thing, and that's to tackle the biggest social obstacle, we believe, for autonomous vehicles, and that's around trust. In an industry, I believe one of the most important tasks is to build that confidence and that trust into the autonomous cars. It won't matter if the technology is there if riders don't trust that they're going to get them from point A to point B in a safe manner. We know that about 90% of all motor vehicle accidents are caused by human error, and the toll is tremendous. In 2016, there were nearly 40,000 car-related deaths in the US alone. If we expand that to the world, the number starts to reach 1 million. 1 million deaths worldwide. And on top of that, the National Safety Council estimates that there were about 4.6 million serious injuries due to car accidents in the US alone. And again, if you expand that to the world, the number is much, much larger. We believe that the technology we're bringing is not simply about driving. That autonomous vehicles, just to get us there without our hands on the wheel or paying attention or being able to have the entertainment experiences which we're all looking forward to, that's not enough. Currently, if you look at just the driving assist systems, we talked about adaptive cruise control and parking assists and a variety of other technologies that are out there today for the ADAS type technologies. The estimates are it's already reduced accidents by up to 30%. It's saved something on the order of 1,400 lives each year and prevents about 450,000 crashes and probably somewhere near $10 billion a year in economic losses. But there isn't a point where we're done. We're really trying to drive this to zero driving-related fatalities. We need to think about how can autonomous cars, the infrastructure, all of that get us to a point where fatalities in cars are a thing of the past. We're trying to advance the dialogue by introducing several new mathematical models, those algorithms for how the car drives. How does it think about pedestrians walking on the street, calculating their trajectory, understanding their paths, thinking about which directions and then what your braking capabilities are and what's your maximum speed. All of that built into a mathematical model that my colleague, the CEO of Mobileye, Amnon Shashua, introduced earlier this month. We've published an academic paper on the subject, as well as a paper designed for probably most of us in the room, the layman, that really talks about what is this driving model and what does it look like? How do you think about building a rules-based driving capability that truly starts to talk about taking those numbers down by factors of 1,000? Imagine 40,000 deaths go to near zero. That's what autonomous cars can really bring us. Our goal is to introduce a standardized framework where the industry could have specific and measurable methods for who is at fault if an autonomous car is involved in an accident. Remember, an autonomous car is constantly collecting data and has the ability to understand exactly what's going on. But that data not only tells us how the vehicle performed, it also tells us how it ought to have performed in every situation and how to avoid every accident. So as that happens, we can continue to improve and increase the capability of these rules and then, as a result, those algorithms. This is a complicated issue. It includes software and hardware and legislature and rules, but it's vital if our society is going to reach a new level of safety and truly understand what those capabilities are. We realize that whether it's with the PC or Wi-Fi in the past, companies like Intel need to play a crucial role in bringing this legislation and these standards, really industry standards, for what it takes to put an autonomous vehicle on the road. What level of testing, what level of algorithm understanding, what set of rules. And then lastly, how do you measure whether an autonomous car does what it says it will do around all of the various environmental situations it can encounter? How do you test that? How do you know that an autonomous car that's going to go to the road is truly capable of autonomy? Those standards all need to be developed as an industry and brought to governments to help build legislation and rules that make those standards. This is going to be critical for people to have that trust. The ultimate test for the future of autonomous cars is going to be winning over the passengers. When people see that it's safer to be in an autonomous car than to drive yourself, that's when you know that the industry has done what it needs to do to make this a scalable technology. The data on this is indisputable. But now we need to drive that trust. So let's take a look at how that's happened over the centuries.
I heard you go too fast and you'll melt.
Electricity. I'm not putting lightning in my walls.
No, I'll leave flying to the birds.
You know it mutates all the nutrients in your food.
They have these little soaps there that I can't find anywhere else. Oh, my hands smell amazing.
Do you really need to talk to people all the time?
Autonomous car? Like I'm gonna trust my life to some computer.
Intel is powering autonomous cars you can trust. Don't worry, we'll help you get there.
So you can see we've gone through these transitions many, many times. And each time there was a fear, there was a concern. But we've always overcome those by having standards, by having methods to test. And as people saw that safety that was built into those products, they became commonplace in everything we did. Our job as leaders in this industry is to deliver that trustworthy driverless car experience as the first autonomous cars start rolling down the highway. We believe our autonomous future depends on that. We believe that the car of the future is the most important platform for artificial intelligence. It will be where artificial intelligence touches your life probably more than any other place. It will be every day in getting you to almost anything you do. I'm convinced it will introduce a renaissance of the entire auto industry. It will provide a platform that if we rethink it and take all of our paradigms away, provides untold opportunity. And our partners at Warner Brother and Thomas showed us just a glimpse of what that can be. And we committed to build one of those cars right now, not sometime in the future. So we're very excited to work with all of you in this industry to create a new world where autonomous driving is not just cool. It is a cool technology if you've ever driven one. It's exciting, it's fun. But it's a better path to a better world and a safer world. So thank you for listening to us this morning. I really appreciate being here for my second year. Enjoy the auto show, and I'll see you around.